Netflix already had success with the live action adaptation of one of the biggest animes of all time, One Piece. Let's see if they can continue that momentum with maybe even a bigger series, Avatar The Last Airbender. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my TV review for the Netflix adaptation of Avatar The Last Airbender. Obviously, one of the biggest animes of all time. I would say, other than SpongeBob, it's probably the most successful Nickelodeon show that's ever been, certainly from the fan base and everything like that. Nickelodeon has a lot of good shows, but I would say, SpongeBob and Avatar The Last Airbender are the top two, in terms of success. And with that, I'm a little surprised this actually wasn't on Paramount Plus, because Paramount owns Nickelodeon, but whatever, Netflix obviously has had some success previously with the live action adaptations, although they've also had some failures as well, because they made a Death Note. I think it was a movie. I don't know if it was a series, but there was a live action Death Note that I didn't watch, but apparently it was like terrible. So I don't know, but One Piece was certainly a huge hit for them. And this one, obviously, leaning in that direction. It's already been renewed for seasons 2 and 3. So we will have some things upcoming with this. But look, before we launch into the specifics of this show and my thoughts on it, let me welcome you back to Dan Reviews It. If you are one of my subscribers already, thank you so much. Click that like button and comment below, please. That, of course, helps the channel. If you're not one of my subscribers, I'd love to have you aboard in that capacity. So hit that subscribe button below. All right. So, full disclosure, look, I'm not the biggest anime fan. I've seen some of the things. In fact, I did watch all of Death Note. In the anime form. But in terms of Avatar The Last Airbender, I have seen the first few episodes, at least the first 2, maybe 3. A friend showed them to me, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. And I liked it. I could see what all the hype was about. But, I just never continued with it. And then I saw that god-awful M. Night Shyamalan movie. That was the first live-action version of Avatar. And it was horrible. I gave it an F. It was so bad. And so, look, this show does not have to necessarily live up to, the greatness of that anime. But it at least has to be better than the Shyamalan movie. So as long as it sort of lands somewhere in between those two things, it's probably going to be considered a success. And the good news is, yes, it is way better than the Shyamalan movie. So, we can rest easy about that. Is it as good as the anime? Look, again, I'm very limited in my knowledge of that. So that, I think, is going to be more for some other videos from other people that, love the anime or whatever. So I get to watch this kind of with the blinders on, I get to watch this and rate it for what it is, as opposed to, holding it against the anime. So in any event, this is, if you don't know the basic story, so there's this world where certain people can bend one of the 4 elements: the water, earth, fire, or air. However, there are these things known as avatars, and here we have Aang, who is the last living airbender, who basically can bend all 4 of the elements instead of just one, and he's kind of the bridge between the spirit world and the mortal world, and so his job is to kind of maintain balance of the world and try and bring peace, after all of these horrible things have gone down. So, look, this is only 8 episodes, but they are hour long. So, we take that Nickelodeon format of the half-hour anime shows, which after commercials probably land around 22, 23 minutes each. And we make them into, 50-minute, hour-long live-action versions for Netflix. So, look, some things are going to be lost in the storytelling because of the shortened time. I think when you have 8-hour-long episodes, versus, I don't know what season 1 of the Nickelodeon show was, but this season 1 of the Netflix show is essentially season 1 of the Nickelodeon show. Just kind of some things are mixed around a little bit. This is what I read anyway. So yes, there's going to be some things maybe that are lost. Maybe there's whole plot lines that aren't told in this version. I'm not sure. But in any event, I think the pacing is actually pretty good. I mean, obviously they're cramming so much into each episode, and from what I read about the first episode of the Netflix series, it's about 2.5 to the first 3 episodes maybe of the anime. And that seems about right. So if they're cramming, maybe 2 or 3 episodes into every episode, there's going to be maybe a couple things lost. But what that does is actually, gives it a good pacing. Because nothing is really going to be left on the floor. There's no, sort of dull moments here. And so acting wise, you have Gordon Cormier as Ong, and he is from the Stand, I believe, which was on Paramount Plus. The Stephen King adaptation from a few years ago. I don't know him from anything else, and a lot of these people I don't really know. Kia Wentilo plays Katara, who is a 14-year-old. She is the waterbender from the Southern Water Tribe. And you have Ian Owsley as Sokka, Dallas Liu as Prince Zuko, Ken Leung, I know him, of course. He was on Lost. He played Miles on Lost. And then Daniel Day Kim, also a Lost alum. He plays the Fire Lord as well, the leader of the Fire Nation. So a couple of the adults I know, but the kids not as familiar to me. Look, the acting is pretty decent here. I think much like One Piece, they found a really competent. Well, okay, the dude in One Piece is a little older. He's I would say probably like a young adult. I think he's playing maybe a teenager in One Piece, but he's probably in his early 20s maybe or something. But here, this is an actual kid. But in both of these series, I think they really got a terrific actor to kind of embody the spirit of these characters and sort of the nature of them. I will say I remember the TV show, the episodes I watched, being a little more humorous. This is, I think, a darker take. Whereas their version of One Piece did have, some of those more comedic elements to it, but Netflix chose to go a little bit darker, I think, with this version. Whereas I remember the anime being a little more humorous. So this is okay. Maybe a darker take on it, but in any event, I think the child actor they got is really, really good for this role. So love that. There is a bit of an over usage of CGI for sure, and the price tag for this is not maybe as great as some other shows that are heavily reliant on CGI. So yeah, there's times where it looks maybe a little bit weaker than in other places. But, here, the storytelling is really the main thing. And look, when we're talking about CGI, almost nothing could be worse than that Shyamalan movie. That was like at the height of when they were trying to really utilize CGI, but they couldn't really afford it for a lot of movies, so you got kind of cruddy-looking CGI. This is sort of before the Marvel uptick and all of that. I think it was maybe 2010 or 2011 they made that movie, but in any event, so this is, certainly leaps and bounds better than that. Look, I like this show. I don't think it's as good as their One Piece adaptation. I don't think it's as fun. I don't think that the story is quite as cohesive, but look, I think this is probably a little bit of a deeper story. I think there's a lot of in concept and all of that of just the plot schematics of the anime and then the live action that I think makes it a little bit of a I don't want to say a tougher watch, but certainly one that you really have to pay attention to what's going on and who's doing what. Whereas One Piece, not that there's, a bad plot or anything, but it's a little more, bouncy and okay, you can just kind of, get into it as it is. But here, I think there's a lot going on with each of the different worlds and all of that, that you really need to pay attention, especially if you go in without having much knowledge of the anime. Now, if you know the anime, sure, you're going to be looking, I think, for other things, a little more critically than the plot. But for me, who's, relative newbie to the whole thing, I definitely found myself, okay, let's focus and, okay, this person is doing this. And, so I it's a little bit much. But look, I assume, or I think they assume that most people watching this are going to be familiar already with the anime. So I'm not positive that this was maybe catered to someone like me who has very little knowledge of that. I don't know. But in any event, look, I don't think this is as good as One Piece, but it is leaps and bounds better than the Shyamalan film. I leave Avatar, The Last Airbender on Netflix with a B. And you can check out season 1 now, but like I said, seasons 2 and 3 are already in the works. So we will look forward to those when they arrive. All right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.